People have asked us to do this comparison, and I finally got a chance to. This is a Kahr CW45, and this one is a Glock 36. So these are both 45 ACP. They both use the 45 ACP ammunition, so definitely a lot of firepower. I'll go ahead and put this on the tripod. And we'll take another closer look at these. The Kahr single stack magazine holds 6. Uses an up and down type of sight, meaning the dot and your mark on the back go on top of each other, up and down. And I'm just not as familiar with these. A lot of people like that type of sight. The 36 holds six rounds also, single stack. And this one uses the typical Glock style sight with a notch in the back and a dot up front. They're both fairly narrow. So narrow I won't get it to balance there. So they're both fairly narrow. And they may not seem super narrow because they are holding the 45, but if we compare them to this Glock 30, you can see quite a difference with the Glock 30 and the Kahr, and still a pretty big difference between the Glock 36 and the Glock 30. The Glock 30 is a very similar pistol. It's just that it's a double stack, so instead of holding 6 rounds, it holds 10 in a double stack magazine. Back to these two. Very similar. The Kahr is definitely a bit smaller, just a bit smaller in the barrel length, a bit smaller. Actually, it's a little bit longer in the grip, and then a little bit smaller, wide, in the width. Kahr is definitely easy to hold. I've got a fairly large hand, and I'm holding it just fine. Trigger, plenty of room in there. Kind of an odd-shaped trigger card, but gives you good access. In the Glock, I can still get 3 fingers on it. The base plate definitely helps with that. I think the Glock is just a little bit easier to deal with. The springs in the Kahr are very strong and makes it a little bit harder to rack for someone who's smaller. For a female, sometimes that can be an issue. It's slide release, a little sharper, a little tougher to push down on, but very minor detail. Out of the two, it's really hard to choose. Since nothing about the Glock is going to be proprietary to the other Glocks, you're almost starting over. Neither one of them have a light rail. I'd say it's very comparable. These two are probably a tough choice if you're looking for a very small, subcompact, easy to conceal 45. There's nothing to be. The Glock does have a lot of reliability, but the Kahr is definitely a bit smaller, a little bit more grip. I think I'd probably go with the Kahr. Although if I couldn't find a Kahr, I wouldn't be too disappointed if I went with the Glock 36 either. So a couple of different 45 concealable pistols from Kahr and Glock. Bring out the scale again. And we'll take a look at the Glock first. It's a little heavier. 1 pound 6.4 ounces empty. And the Kahr comes in at 1 pound 5.8 ounces empty. Just a little bit lighter.